Hi nerds, I'm Tirinei. Welcome back to my show. As per usual, the topic of today's video is World of Warcraft Mist of Pandaria news. As of October 9th at about 10 a.m., LFR for Mogu'shan Vaults was available for queuing. So you can now do the looking for raid version of Mogu'shan Vaults as well as the heroic version if you have a pre-made group and you've already completed the regular version, which very few, but some people have actually completed that. Crazy nerds. Crazy nerds. There's going to be some maintenance October 10th, and when that is completed, the ink traders for scribes will be accepting Ink of Dreams instead of Black Follow ink. So they're transferring over into the new ink. And then they will also have the Starlight ink up for sale, which is the epic ink that is used for the crazy things. Like, I'm assuming like last expansion, things like the Darkmoon Fair trinkets and stuff like that. The epic creations from Inscription. So if you're like me and you still have a stack or so of the Black Follow ink, it's a good time to make whatever glyphs that you know you're going to need for any of your tunes, and at least trade for the ink that you're going to need for it now. That way you can use your Black Follow ink for something useful instead of the few glyphs that you can make with it. Very few. It's been asked of Blizzard if they're going to allow people to buy tombs for their alternate characters to fly in Pandaria. They're not wanting to do that because it takes away from the experience. A lot of people complained about not being able to fly in Mist of Pandaria, but honestly, they want you to experience the zones. Dreadwaste in particular was a little bit difficult to navigate, and there are a couple places where if you die, you're pretty much screwed. So I do think that in those cases, if they're going to leave those places in the zones, it would be nice if they made it so that you fly when you're dead. Because I actually had to go in to Dreadwaste. There was like this ravine. It was quite amusing. I wish I had perhaps it. I took a picture. It's quite funny. Of a friend of mine who was leveling, and he somehow managed to fall into this ravine, and there was literally no way back up into it. And so I flew over there and I mass resed him. Thank goodness for mass res, because I was a mage. So yeah, things like that I hope they fix. But other than that, I think it makes perfect sense to not be able to fly until level 90 because you're forced to experience the zones and the places. As I was talking about in my last video, it's a very important part of the game for you to embrace the zones, and honestly I think they did a wonderful job, and I think it's beautiful. So just enjoy it while you can. There have been some complaints about the loot system and the way it is right now. It doesn't show up and tell you on your chat window who has needed or greeted for items. There's a new loot system. If it's not working for you already, if you don't know about it, just type /loot when something's up for roll, and it will open up a window right on the side of your screen, about in the same place where it shows where you can need. Right next to that, it shows what everyone in your group has selected for each item. So you can see if the healer needs a healing item, then you can just decide to greet it. And things like that, so you know who in the group needs what. You can set it to where that window automatically pops up on your screen. If you go into your settings, go into interface, controls, and select auto open loot window. It will always open up for blue and purple items after that. So that's the new loot system, and I like that because it doesn't clutter up my chat window, and it's just a little box on your screen that goes away when it's done. So it's less crap for your chat window. I like everything on my screen to be tiny and, if at all possible, transparent, because I'm a space junkie. Like, I need space on my screen as much as possible. And so my chat window is as small as possible with tiny text. I just upped the text though, because apparently I'm ignoring things in guild chat sometimes because I'm not seeing it. But anyways, so to have less on my chat screen, that is a plus for me, and I like this loot system. Now, the loot system for looking for raid is going to be different. I mentioned this in one of my previous videos about LFR. It's going to automatically give the winners, it's going to select whoever won gear and automatically give them something that is useful for their class and spec. So people in LFR can stop getting mad at each other. That way, if they really want to get mad about it, hopefully it won't be trolled in the raid chat, because it's irritating. Just get over it. Get over it. It's a game. The Dark Moonfair tanking trinket has been revised. The stamina on it is now 1434, whereas before it was a little bit on the low side, so it was kind of not really viable for tanking compared to other trinkets. If you want help starting out raiding Mogu'shan vaults, I'm going to link in the description a guide to the raid to help you out with figuring out boss mechanics and things like that. We're going to be starting that, I think, on Friday. I think we have enough level 90s finally that are raiders that want to raid. So I hope that works out. This week I'm sure we're going to be checking out, looking for raid Mogu'shan vaults to get a few extra pieces of gear in case some people don't have enough heroic gear to start doing that. So that'll be fun. And if we succeed, when we succeed at killing the first or however many bosses that we kill, I'm sure I will be uploading some of that footage as well, possibly with a voiceover. I've been told that I'm actually halfway decent at doing guides, so I might be able to do that, even though I know there are some out there already that are great. So anyways, I might add some of that to my channel, we'll see. Apparently there's been a hotfix for Tank Vengeance. It now stacks faster. I'm okay with this because we were having trouble with aggro issues from our new level 90 monk healer, and our tank Ed. His theory was that his aggro was broken or something, but it's been better now. And once I saw that there was the hotfix, that kind of explained some things. But the only problem that I have with this is that right now, pretty much any tank that I run with is highest on the damage chart. I'm not really a fan of that. It kind of makes the DPS feel, why am I here? Maybe I should just roll a tank and DPS and tank spec and just not taunt and hope for the best. I'm hoping that gets fixed. I don't know if the other DPS kind of need a little bit of a boost or if the tank damage overall just needs to be reduced. It helps, obviously, to have more damage out there, but I believe that I feel that the majority of the damage should be done by the DPS. They feel viable, they feel useful, there's a reason for them to be there, and it just makes more sense. A couple days ago, there was an exploit. Hackers were just sitting in Maine cities and somehow able to insta-kill people. There were bodies everywhere, so much carnage. It was horrible. I believe it was on the 7th, and that has been fixed. That has been protected. So I don't know what they were doing. I hope you weren't a part of that. If you were, your life is valued and they have protected you from that in the future. Very sad. Colleen Lakowitz, candidate for Maine State Senate, has been ridiculed and bashed for playing World of Warcraft. She says she doesn't play that much. She's maybe played 45 minutes in the last month because she's been campaigning. But she says she doesn't feel there's anything wrong with playing World of Warcraft. A huge part of society plays MMOs, and politicians, lawyers, doctors, a lot of smart people, engineers, tons of smart people play World of Warcraft in their off time. And in her opinion, in my opinion, in a lot of people's opinion, anyone who plays MMOs, that is perfectly fine. Apparently there were some comments on some forums that were particularly violent, but she says they were taken out of context, and in the gaming world, that's perfectly acceptable. I am not going to say what the comments were because I'm not 100% of the reliability of the places that I found said comments, but I do think that this whole thing is probably just an example of the fact that so many people are in the dark right now. They're behind the times, and they don't know that playing World of Warcraft or other games like it is a really, really common thing. There are people out there that think of people that play World of Warcraft as a cult and we're evil and all this stuff. It's kind of like that big Pokemon craze, how Pokemon was somehow the devil, like, because it involved magic and fiction. So does that mean that The Matrix was written by the devil? Does that mean that anything with fantasy was written by the devil? Lord of the Rings? What? Okay. I am obviously a Satanist then. I didn't know that. I'm not normally very political, but this particular issue really bothered me, and I feel like she needs the support of her fellow gamers, which supposedly she's getting support from gamers and contacts and things like that, saying, hey, I understand you. I understand what's going on. I got your back. I got your back. Now, if any of these comments that she said were particularly threatening to a particular person, or whatever real life stuff is going on in those comments in the forums, then that's a separate issue. But without that being totally known, I feel like it's pretty horrible what they're doing to her. People that are afraid of video games and totally against playing video games are closed-minded, in my opinion, and childish, honestly. And that sounds funny to say because they're, looking down on people who play video games, which is, in their minds, a childish thing to do. The average of people that play online MMOs, the average age is like 30. So that means, there's little kids playing it. Honestly, in my opinion, there are kids that are too young to be playing it that are. But there's people that are 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I've known people from the higher range too. I know tons of people that play that are all ages. The ranges of people that I know are probably from 12 to 65. And a large percent of them have had, obviously the ones that are old enough to have jobs, have had very highly respectable jobs and manage them perfectly fine. There are addicts, and a lot of that has been exploited in the media. People that are addicted to games and have let it ruin their life. People have also let alcohol ruin their life. But then there's people that drink alcohol that are perfectly fine and functioning in society. So why is it that video games would be treated differently? Because there's tons of people out there that play on their off time and manage their lives perfectly. Not to say that I have an outstanding, crazy job, but I work full-time. I have a garden. I have 2 pets that are just like pampered beyond belief. And I have a fiance that I take care of and cook for when I can. My house is clean. Am I the devil? Am I doing something wrong? No, I don't think I am, and I don't think you guys are either. So if you hear anything about this, put in your 2 cents. That is my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I invite you to comment below whether you liked or disliked this video, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Hopefully I'll have some game footage to come out soon, and more news next week. So I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you have a great start to your week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.